Good evening. Welcome to Town of West Boylston's August 17, 2022 Select Board and Sewer Commissioners meeting. I call the meetings to order. All members present. Public comments. This 15 minutes period is an opportunity for the public to address their concern and questions regarding the town operations and programs to the board. Is there any public comments? Hearing none. Next item on the agenda, approval of minutes. June 15, 2022 regular session. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Do we need to ask? Oppose?
Mr. Frieden was not,
Yeah.
oh, he was present, I'm sorry.
Motion carries.
Thank
June 29, 2022 executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Marks. Motion carries. June 29, 2022 regular session. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. The next thing in the agenda, review and vote to approve warrants for the period covering July 21, 2022 to August 17, 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve the warrants as printed in the agenda.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mark? Oppose? Motion carries. We do need to wait until 6:10.
Yep. Go to new business, Kevin's here.
Kevin? Kevin Duffy, DPW Director.
Okay. Alright, there's a few agenda items for today. Just want to start off with a piece of very good news. The Mass DOT, similar to the Chapter 90 program, is instituting the Winter Recovery Assistance Program, grant funding. About 1 month ago, we got our notice to proceed from them. It totals $168,000, $168,094 total for us to spend on rehab, reconstruction, resurfacing, preservation of roads and sidewalks, signage improvements, storm breaks, road striping, and painting. So that is, now that we have the notice to proceed and in line with the next item, which was our bid items list, we're looking forward to getting this utilized and making some improvements here in town. So I just wanted to update you on that funding becoming available.
Do we know if that came from ARPA funds or where it came from the state?
No, this was separate. Like it's kind of under the idea of the Chapter 90. It went through all municipalities. It's kind of right at 50% of the Chapter 90 annual allotment. So I think that was the idea. It's just with the price increases that have been seen throughout, I think they recognize that the Chapter 90 is kind of insufficient. So they provided across the board additional funding.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, through you, this really is paired up with the Chapter 90 program. Annually, the Mass Municipal Association and others lobby the state to up the total Chapter 90 distribution, statewide total, from its current $200 million to $300 million. Before the 2008 recession, that level was $300 million. The Baker administration each year resists the $300,000, the increase to $300,000. But at the end of, as you near the end of a fiscal year, they have on a number of occasions put out additional distributions. And so it was, it's a little bit earlier than normal this time of year. This is probably the biggest Chapter 90 supplement that you've seen in a while.
For planning purposes down the road, do we know if this is gonna be part of the regular budget, or it's too soon to tell?
Don't count on it. You might get if you continue to get this sort of supplemental Chapter 90 funding, that's not a title, I just blurted that out. It'll be in varying amounts.
But we're not gonna, we can't anticipate, I mean, if this is 50% of what we got, we can't anticipate next year getting 480,000 versus the 320. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I agree that, no, I would not anticipate that this will be annual, either on this now or, you know.
You may have the old agenda.
I got the one that's on the table. Okay.
Okay. Next one is consider approving snowplow contract rates.
Yeah, I don't know if, I don't know if it's okay to go out of order, kind of makes sense, I think, to just talk about the bid, that we received. We had a bid opening yesterday for
This one wasn't
our
on there.
materials and our road construction rehabilitation, kind of better
Yeah, go ahead.
transition.
Yeah.
I know you were given that information that we tabulated today for everyone. Overall, just given the economic climate that we've been in, especially in the road construction industry, we were pretty pleased with the results. I do recommend that we move forward with the lowest bids. I did just note to Jim that one item that I think we should have an additional or an alternate approval is the pickup of the bituminous concrete type 1, in addition to low bidder, also the second low bidder. I think it would be in the best interest for our department in the town to have the two options available.
We didn't get
confused
any
where this is on
document.
the,
Yeah, we
what
don't-
is this, what are we talking about?
We don't have the sheet that shows the numbers.
No, we
It-
didn't have it when this packet went out, because the
They-
bid was,
So what is this, what
They
is
are-
this that he's talking about?
The material bids.
Okay, so,
They all have the old agenda. We do need the
I was
new.
under the impression that you were given a handout for the meeting with the bid
so
results.
road construction and material bid results?
So we get that every
Yeah,
year.
right,
It
but
says
that's what we're talking about right
$60 a
now.
ton for tar or whatever the case, but it's not here.
Yeah, there's a lot of bid items. Again, I was pleased with the results that came in. I think there's some stability happening right now. With gas prices are down a bit. There's a little bit more comfort level of people to have better pricing. So I think we did kind of time it well with the past couple months of bid. And this lets us kind of just get moving. We can start spending our available funding and get some improvements completed.
We didn't
Sounds
get.
like they're making copies.
That does sound like
We'll
that.
wait.
That's exactly what's going on.
No,
Thank you.
Thank you.
all have the old agenda.
oh,
Everyone
No, we get, I think I have
updated.
4 items for the
Yeah.
DPW bid.
Yeah.
So,
If I may, why do you feel we need to accept the 2 low bids, I mean, they're not that far apart, on the concrete pickup?
Sure. One, it's hot mix, so timing is important. We don't have vehicles that are able to keep the asphalt hot during travel time. And the low bid is on the other side of Worcester, it's in Oxford. So if there's any traffic, essentially related to actually related to right now, the construction on 190. The other one is in Lunenburg. It is less likely to have any additional travel time, which will help us maintain our temperature levels on asphalt. So there are circumstances where it might be called for us to go to that plant, just from a timing and a quality per material reasons.
And based on the state bid rules, we're allowed to do that, I guess. Turn to the town accountant, maybe?
Yeah, it's commonly done, especially for salt. There are basically 2 or 3 main suppliers for salt, and most towns I've worked in always have an alternate. And that's really, has everything to do with supply, you know, in availability of product. In this case, it's not the availability of the product, it's
Well, it is, it's available. How
this
quick can you get
is
there?
purchased at the plant. This is not delivered here. So once you accept something from Oxford in November and try and drive it to West Boylston, you own that product from the time you pull out of the station in Oxford. Whereas and it's a longer drive for our help. Whereas in Lunenburg, it's a shorter drive and you got a better shot of having hot material when you pull into town. So it just gives the DPW more flexibility, and yes, it is allowed.
I'm not sure the traffic might be different, but I'm not sure if the drive shuttle. Lunenburg, yeah, Lunenburg or Oxford, yeah. So is it the 82 and the 87 we're talking about?
Kev?
Correct.
So it's only that one's the only one that you wanna go with too?
Yeah, everything else I'm comfortable with, the low is as they come in.
So do we need a motion to accept these?
As recommended,
So
yes.
I'll make a motion to accept,
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Pat.
I'll make a motion to accept the bids as presented, including the two lower bids for the bituminous concrete type 1 picked up.
I second.
So
We have a motion and second discussion.
we go all over the place for low bid, you know, one guy might, a lot of them say no bid, so, but then others,
Yes.
so the,
Some of the items, are very independent of one another, and some are interrelated, but this is how our documents are set up. I'm planning on having that changed for next year's bids, but I just didn't have the, ability to get that changed for this year.
so you just go wherever, when we make this motion, you just go whatever one of these is the lowest bidder, when you need the item.
Yes,
And that's the same with the other page too? Bid number 1, bid number 2, bid number 3, bid number 4.
yeah, and those are, the one with 4 bid items, it's all individual products, so that is all stuff that we pick up. So it's all very independent, and we would drive to whichever one is the appropriate location to pick up that material.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mark is on his way.
Oh, he just fell.
Let's wait for him. Second.
See, we're in a body camera?
No, the cell phone.
Don't go to the bathroom.
Oh, turn that off, please.
Mark, your vote
Yes.
for the bid, yes.
You wanna see it?
Oppose, and motion carries. The next one is road construction, we got that. So the next one is 165 Hartwell Street Sewer Abatement.
Okay. Yeah, so this one, you have, my letter of recommendation, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
So this was, it's a commercial property, we recently amended the abatement regulations for the Selectboard on this. There was a significant water leak external to the building, but beyond the meter, to the tune of about 300,000 gallons of water. So just seen that coming through the last bill cycle. There's still a large amount, not to the same tune of this, but there was a significant amount. I would expect that they may have likely come back for an abatement for that as well. But due to the high amount of this abatement, I thought it was prudent to at least put through this, and if they seek an abatement for the more recent one, that is certainly something that they're welcome to submit for.
I'll make a motion to approve the abatement in the amount of $5,718.61.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion?
So, it was the whole amount he paid?
Minus $81.08, which is his normal sewer bill.
So that should be minus, it says bill amount paid.
It's a lot of money.
Right, so the amount paid was $57.99.69, so my motion is
For the minus the $81?
minus the $81, which was the $57.18.61.
Is that in your packet?
Yeah.
I just see it. I don't have any others.
Yeah, it's almost to the end.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't
Yeah,
have
it's
any of
almost
it.
to the end.
Okay. We have a motion and
A second?
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We do have one other thing. Consider approving snowplow contract rates.
Yes. So last year, before I had started, the Snowplow contract rates had been advertised. But we got very few, if any, responses on it last year. We ended up having 2 contractors working with us who even noted the relative low pay of our contract rates. Doing some research, the rates have not been touched since 2012, 2013. So a lot has changed since then, and I don't think our rates are really going to be doing much to get any contractors in and be of any use for us. In fact, the 2 that we had last year is one contractor and he has 1 employee who works for him with one of his vehicles. I talked to him last week on something else, and I noted that we were coming with this for this meeting, and he noted that that was good because he was not planning to come back. So we would have been down to 0 contractors. Just to give you a sense of the urgency about addressing these rates. I know last year also the town of Boylston put out just a feeler to other towns asking for their rates. I gave them our rates, and I did ask for them to give me the ranges that they received from other towns, and we were the lowest of those polled. So with that, I prepared for you guys rates that I think will make us in line with what it's going to take to have assistance in our snowplow operations to maintain our roadways while also being fiscally responsible.
What were our rates last year?
It depends on the vehicle, but they range from 65 to 80.
So the 75 was 65, I'm guessing? So we went up like $10 there?
Yeah, and that is just for an 8-foot plow on a pickup truck, which we're not really even seeing that. But so similar, an 8 or 9-foot plow on a smaller pickup. For a 9-foot plow, I opted to 70. For the 9-foot.
That was 70.
I'll make a motion to approve the rates as presented.
I second.
That is- Motion and second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll go to the public hearing, 6:10 public hearing.
Can I just say one thing,
Sure.
Mr. Chairman? So, Kevin, I wanted to thank you for your quick response on the vandalism done to the school up on the doors that were ripped off. I know I kind of emailed you in the middle of the night, just letting you know what happened, and first thing in the morning, you had someone there, so thank you very much.
Of course, thank you for letting us know about it.
Does he have to be here for that?
No, that's town,
Doesn't have to be
town,
here?
no.
Okay.
Public hearing on the resubmittal of application of brown rice Thai 2 Inc., DBA Brown Rice 2, 184 West Boylston Street, West Boylston, Mass. 01583, for an on premises all alcohol and restaurant licenses. Mark?
You read it?
Yeah.
That's just about all there was. The select board at the town of the town of West Boylston will hold a public hearing on the application of, should I correct it to be Brown Rice Thai 2 Inc. Oh, DBA Brown Rice 2, 184 West Boylston Street, West Boylston, Mass. 01583, for an on-premises all alcohol restaurant license. Public hearing will be held on Wednesday, July 17th, 2002. Now, hybrid meeting available.
Thank you, Mark. Jim?
Mr. Chairman, Fay has been processing this application, and I understand that perhaps counsel for the applicant, is he here?
Yeah, I see attorney, Thomas
Yes.
Jafari.
Oh, okay. So Fay, do you want to lead us in here, please?
Unless Tom wants to.
I'm here on behalf of my client who couldn't make it this evening. I apologize for her absence, but I'm here to address any questions
Could he identify himself?
Yeah.
Certainly, my name is Attorney Thomas Jafarian on behalf of Brown Rice 2.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have one question. It says the resubmitted, currently, they do have a liquor license, or is it BYOB?
It's BYOB.
Yeah, so it's a,
Yeah.
you can bring it, they're not serving it.
Correct. So a little history quick. We had approved this a year ago
Yep,
to send in. They had chosen at that time to do it on their own.
okay.
It was an insufficient submission to the ABCC. They decided at that time to wait because they were opening up another property. And now Attorney Jafarian's come forward to represent them and brought this back before you for approval.
So do we have all the paperwork
Correct.
in order?
So
Yep,
nothing's changed from the time we approved it?
correct. Except that they're being represented and they have a new application.
Yeah, the application needs to be amended. They tried to fill out themselves and wasn't filled out properly. Hence the objection.
I have a question.
Mark?
Did they have a liquor license at their other location in town?
No.
No, okay.
No, they did not. But one of the owners, actually, I did help her with a liquor license at another property that she has.
Okay.
But she's certainly experienced when it comes to restaurants, number one, and certainly experienced when it comes to the serving of alcohol. She is tip certified as well.
Is that it?
I was gonna say, I make a motion to approve,
We need to
We've
close
got to
the
close the
public
public
hearing.
hearing.
Okay.
I,
Any
I
other
make a motion to
questions?
close the public hearing, unless there's
We need to ask the
questions.
public.
Yeah, we have to ask. this.
as a board member, I don't have any problem with this. I don't think we need to discuss it any further unless, the public has any comments.
Is there any comments from the public hearing? None. I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor to close the public hearing?
Aye.
Oppose? Public hearing is closed. Is there a motion to approve the alcohol license?
I motion to approve the license resubmittal of application for Brown Rice Thai 2 Incorporated DBA on 184 West Boylston Street, West Boylston, Mass. for an on-premise all alcohol restaurant license.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, members.
We have 6:20. Public hearing on the change in municipal building office hours. Mark?
Oh. Notice is hereby given that the West Boylston Select Board will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, August 17th, 2022 at 6:20 PM in the Select Board meeting room of the municipal offices located at 140 Worcester Street, West Boylston, Mass. to establish a change in municipal building office hours. All interested persons, groups, and agencies are invited to attend and participate. This meeting will be held hybrid with Zoom meeting information available. So I don't read the whole thing.
Jim, you want to say?
Mr. Chairman, you had probably a 20 to 30-minute discussion on this at a prior meeting, and the town clerk and the treasurer collector, went back to their respective offices to see if they couldn't be more accommodating to the board's requests on hours, particularly from the treasurer collector's offices. I know a concern was expressed, or a desire, for uniformity in the office hours, so that visitors to the town hall would be might be able to do multiple transactions in different offices. But first, the genesis of the request was, no foot traffic, no phone traffic, no online traffic was happening on Wednesday nights, and there seemed to be a board consensus that, yeah, we can drop the Wednesday night thing and rearrange your hours of operation. This is the best that they can do. The treasurer collector's offices tried to, they did dial back their starting time at your request to 8:30 a.m.
But I don't have any of this.
I don't have any of this.
kidding.
There's nothing in email, there's nothing in the attachment, like, I'm running blind.
Where did that, it was
This is
in the
what I
agenda
was
package?
handed,
Yeah.
it's not my agenda package, this is all I have.
It's in the updated agenda package.
So I don't have the,
I can,
Oh, so the updated agenda package had more information connected?
yeah, it had
I thought
all
it
of
was
the
usually just the
printouts.
agenda.
No, just, honestly, it's the same paperwork as last time, but I apologize for it not being in there.
Oh, it's the same hours? They
Same
weren't able
hours.
to come up with something?
No. They made a good faith effort to do that, but
So I'm concerned about that, because that leaves our office, we have someone full-time, and we still weren't able to bring up to open the other office full-time, but what's the good faith effort there? So is this person gonna scale back their hours to 36 hours then?
The treasurer collector is gonna have a lot of, I mean, if they're open 40 hours a week, the treasurer collector has a lot of back office stuff. Their transactions are not necessarily gonna be done with the public like the town clerk is gonna be. The treasurer collector is gonna turn around and do accounting stuff. So they're not, the town clerk is serving customers versus the treasurer collector is making the soup in the back. And so I don't think we can compare
Thank you.
a 40-hour-a-week town clerk who is the face of the town versus the treasurer collector who is really back office type stuff versus, they're gonna collect something, they're gonna take a bill from somebody and they're gonna go in the back. People aren't asking the treasurer collector for information and services like they're gonna be asking from the town clerk. So I don't have an issue with the 4 less hours.
I guess
open
my
to the
problem is
public.
that's not what was stated here at our last meeting.
At this
That's not
time,
what they
yeah,
said.
at this time, the town clerk, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, 8 to 4. The only day is, Wednesdays, 9 to 7. And also the Fridays, 8 to 2. But now they want to do 8 to 4, all the days.
Wait. Hold on, wait, which one?
The town clerk.
Town clerks is just
Oh,
an
okay,
email.
this is, okay, sorry.
But the treasurer collector is different. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, they normally open 9 to 3:30. Wednesdays, 9 to 7. Now they want to go back to Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, 8:30 to, no, 8:30, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, 8:30 to 3:30. Friday, they want to do 8:30 to 3. And then Wednesday, they want to do 8:30 to 5.
So just do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday till 3:30. Why do we have to have?
You want to
the
cut
extra?
Wednesday?
No, keep Wednesday the way it is, but just why do we
That would be
need?
less hours then. That'd be even less than 36.
I'm
No, we'd be adding
half an hour to
30
Friday.
minutes.
Oh.
I want to add a Friday. I know what Pat's saying, but I agree with what you're saying, but if she's in the office, the door could be open, the public can come in, and I don't think, we're not getting mad rushes of people. She's already told us that, so there's, you're saying there's 4 hours, she's there but not
Well, I
open.
mean, that's the difference. You know, the town clerk, the reason that they're not open for the full 4 hours before, and I assume she comes in early, she comes in the morning.
Hence the starting time stuff. There are the treasurer collector and one of her assistants. You know, when talking about an 8:30 a.m. start versus an 8 a.m. start, there are childcare responsibilities.
So she's not able to get here.
In the morning, that really means, you know, 8 o'clock can't cut it because there are school buses and, you know, just family obligations that they have to fulfill. And so that's the reason this thing isn't dialed back to 8 a.m.
And that makes sense. I guess my question is, if I go off of what Pat's saying, those additional 4 hours outside of childcare, there's someone here in the office with the door shut.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Is that, you're gonna say yes?
No,
but I wanna make sure, based on our last
I
meeting,
wanted to walk that one back until I
You
fully
walked it back
understand
to
what you
she
said.
said during that meeting, so
Yeah.
I wanna walk it back and say, before
Okay.
you say yes,
Yeah,
based on what I heard in the last meeting, is that accurate? Because if that's not accurate, then that is not a full-time employee that should be paid full-time through the town. And I wanna make that statement because if we're working 40 hours and we're here with the door shut for 4 of those hours, and we can't open the door because we're doing back office stuff, which is what you're saying, totally understand, but if we're in the office for 36 hours and 4 hours, we're not here, so we're here.
No, she works 40 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and just during those 4 hours, because I do think the town clerk does a lot of front-facing stuff, but she also does a ton of back office stuff, a ton of it, that she's working while open 40 hours and having to deal with the public coming in and out, and answering all of our emails. So I'm just wondering if it really truly is what you're saying, is she's that much different than the town clerk who's got the door open for those 4 hours.
just, you know,
I mean, it could totally be true.
transactionally
I agree with
speaking.
you. The thing is, you know, if they are working for 40 hours, they should open the door for 40 hours.
I can't see it being that different unless you tell me what the town clerk is doing with dealing with the public is so much easier. And that could be the case. I do not work in either of these offices. I just know what Damien even does for posting things. She's answering emails, she's talking to customers coming in, and she's filing paperwork, doing business certifications, swearing people in.
I have no doubt that she has a busy workday, but transactionally speaking, the volume of transactions in the treasurer collector's office is considerably higher than the town clerk's office.
Okay.
But you do have many number of people, more than,
Yeah, you've got one and a half,
only two.
you've got one and a
You
half
have more.
FTEs in the town clerk's office, and what are the 2 assistants, are they full? Is that 3 FTEs?
How many hours comes in?
hours for each assistant.
Right.
30 what?
32 and a half.
32 and a half, so that's not quite,
Almost 3 FTEs.
No,
that's almost,
I can't,
No.
I'm sorry, that makes no sense.
that make no sense at
There's
all.
3 people working in that office, even if it's 32 hours each in a full-time.
That's
There's no-
that's a 2-department office, though. You have the treasurer's office and you have the collector's office. You have a treasurer collector, which is Sherry.
Yeah,
So each of those assistants each have a role in that office, if that makes sense.
it does, and I'm thinking of the volume, so I'm trying to walk myself through it. So the volume of folks, and based what was said here last time, is there's not a ton of volume of people going to the actual office and them interacting. But if I think of the volume of people going to the town clerk and there being 1 full-time and 1 assistant, I'm trying to weigh it, because something just doesn't seem, it's not making sense to me. And I could be, I don't, it just doesn't, maybe it does to some of you, I don't
I don't
get it.
agree with that, you know, because if they are there, just open up the office. What do you think?
But they're not there for where's the 4 hours of back hour?
The door is shut, they're saying they're not
The
shut.
door's not open to the public.
But they only work, you said 32 hours.
But
No, the assistants,
No, the people work,
the assistants,
or 32.
correct. You have a
And the-
treasurer,
And
you
the
have a-
treasurer works,
the treasurer collector is 40 hours.
oh, so
And
she's got the extra 4 hours.
She has the back office
Okay.
hours.
So do the two assistants work the exact same hours? Or they,
No,
could I
I
go
think
in
they
one
have
day,
six-
could I go in and get the one department's there and the other department's
I
not?
think the only day that they didn't work the same was Wednesdays, because it was a longer day and they only work 6-hour shifts.
So most of the time, they're up both there together.
Every
the
day,
doors are
every
open.
day except Wednesday, yeah.
I mean, to me, it's we're comparing apples and footballs. It's two completely different jobs. And, you know, we said these two offices should be open at the same time. Well, then why shouldn't the building department be open at the same time, and the DPW and the fire department? I don't.
Well, I have, yeah.
But we're looking at these are two distinct offices doing two distinct, totally different jobs. And the word that Jim used, the treasurer collector's office is a transactional office, not transactions across the table, transactions entering stuff into the computer, doing accounting work essentially. Whereas the town clerk, the majority of the stuff she does is filling requests as they come in from the townspeople. So which is, you need more front-facing time than you would at the treasurer collector's office. We've had no issues with anything in the treasurer collector's office. We haven't had so much as a finding on an audit in 15 years, I believe. Definitely 7 since I've been on the board, but I don't think we've had a finding in 15 years since I was on the finance committee. They're doing their job, and for us to just sit here when we don't really know what they're doing, to arbitrarily say, we want you to open 4 more hours, it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, the public is not being underserved by not being open those 4 hours.
There's a couple things. I'd like to just, at a minimum, make Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, all 3:30. I mean, it's just getting too, and that's the main reason why I want the times the same, is because it's confusing for the public. So if you add that extra half hour, I mean, just make those 4 days the same. You're talking an extra half hour. And then what we've heard from them is, I don't think we should make changes now, but maybe as people leave, maybe we don't need as many people in these offices, because we're clearly told that they don't have much foot traffic at all. I think the residents learned during COVID, there's other ways to do all these transactions, and they're bringing those along now. Because they said they don't get anybody at night. Years ago, we did get people at night. Well, I went to the town clerk's tonight.
Remember those days?
And they're closed tonight. So I went downstairs tonight, but she's closed tonight. So, but, I think we should look at this in the future, try to get the hours the same. We're making our decisions now on people, not on the town.
Processor.
Usually you should make these decisions on what we think is the best for the town. But now we have people in place, so in the future, we just gotta say, these are the hours, we're gonna keep it this way. And maybe we have to cut down on some staff in the future. Not the current staff, but.
Your organizational model for the treasurer collector's office is very appropriate. You have a combined position of treasurer collector, and you have an assistant tax collector on one side and an assistant collector on the other. That is, that's a good model for you to have. So, in terms of the numbers of personnel, I think, a 3 is the appropriate number. If you want to dial back or add hours or something in the future, based on demand, that's a decision for you to make at the time. I don't think that any of the requests, either of the requests, compromise our public service mission here to the public. So yeah, maybe some of the emphasis on the treasurer collector stuff has been placed on the employees themselves and their personal and professional responsibilities. But you know what? When you make accommodations like that, the chances of retaining those employees, you know, through that kind of organizational loyalty is worth.
And that's why I'm
It's worth
saying
a
with the
lot.
current staff, I'm saying when
Yeah,
we
and
change
that's- yeah,
staff though,
and- yeah.
we should look into changing.
Yeah, so that's what so this staff is asking for that consideration now.
The only, like I say, the only change I would make right now is that those 4 days are all till 3:30. That would be my only change. Then it's
Wednesday.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday till 3:30, and then
Wednesday,
till 5
okay.
o'clock on Wednesday. No, 5 o'clock.
We gotta give them that half.
No, it's 36.5, and it's, so there's plenty of,
Yeah, but what they're saying is they can only
He
do
asked her to
36 hours. They can only be open 36 hours. Those 4 hours, they need office hours, so the door needs to be closed. That's what I
well, it's only the
keep iterating.
director that's the only issue with that, because the other people are 32 hours.
The office is saying, and I think you were nodding your head, so I was hearing, they do not want to go over the 36 hours. So they want 4 hours of closed door. So what you're asking for is them to go 36.5 hours, which means they would only get 3.5 hours closed door.
Yeah.
Are
that's what
they
I'm
going to work other 4 hours inside the office? Is that the thing I meant?
They do
The
that
treasurer collector currently works 40 hours. The
Yeah.
office currently works 36 hours.
What
Is
about the-
open to the public for 36 hours. The part-time, the fractional employees that work the lesser hours, the 32 and a half, they cover the 36 hours between 2 people. They split shift on Wednesday and they rotate.
Staggers.
That way someone doesn't, every other week they stay late.
So what about the assistant collector? How many hours he works?
32 and a half. The assistant collector works 32 and a half, the assistant treasurer works 32 and a half, the treasurer
Are they-
collector, department head, works 40.
So I would just go the extra, just open the extra half hour and then all those 4 days are the same. And she has 3.5 hours back time instead of 4.
Which is later on Friday.
Correct.
Friday's later on Friday.
I just think it's,
I mean,
more,
I
you know,
can
it's more-
understand the idea, 8:30 to 3:30 combined with the 8 to 4. Then whenever you come in early, you just do the town clerk work first, you know, or whatever, you know, and then go to if you had business with both of them, you know.
yeah, that's fine, we can, I agree with everything else, but just keep those, I mean, I like the town clerk, it's easy, open 8 to 4, Monday through Friday. Everybody, the residents can learn it, and they know it. The only thing I'd say is Wednesday till 5, and then Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday till 3:30. That's the only change I would ask for. And I
So
don't think
that's just
I don't
adding
think-
30 minutes on a Friday is what you just said.
Yeah, just to make it more, to clean it.
You know what?
I don't think-
If that'll get this passed,
Well, I think.
Let's do it.
I mean, I'm just saying it's clean and
Yeah.
it's, I don't think we're asking a
Yep.
lot of the employees for that.
sure. Seriously, if that'll do it,
I don't have any
I'm
issue
fine.
with it.
thank you.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, I was just wondering.
Is there any comments from the,
There was
do you have any comments?
I'm the accountant.
her hand on.
She doesn't, she's like, I don't care.
Ellen,
But no, she was, you know.
If I could interject just a tad, because I've been in my office next to theirs for 18-plus years, please understand that every dollar that comes into this town from whatever source has to go through, it starts at the treasurer's office. They do the bookkeeping for every cash dollar that comes through. We do a lot, we do the accounting work in my office, there's a distinction there, but every check that we cut goes from the treasurer's office. So they're processing our payables once we've entered them in the system and gotten them ready for your approval and such. They handle that part of it. There has already been a reduction of hours in the treasurer collector's office this April with the retirement of Linda Ritter, the previous assistant treasurer. She used to handle an extra 5 hours a week to process the payable vouchers that came in. All those wonderful warrants you guys sign off on every weekend, the checks all get printed, then everything has to be collated with the check, with the invoices, and such documents filed for retention for us. There was an additional 5 hours a week allocated to the treasurer collector's office for that function. That has since been eliminated with Linda's retirement. So you've already had a reduction of hours by 5 hours in that department. Those duties were just rolled into the new assistant treasurer's position, which remained at 32 and a half hours. So you've already cut some staff there. And whether, a person walks in and pays their bill personally or submits it online, the treasurer's office and collector's office still have all of their processing of that transaction that has to be done. Foot traffic may only be a small percentage of how we actually get the money. That's not the biggest percentage of their work. Okay, the big part of their work is that back room, making sure that everything's allocated properly in the accounts so that my job in the accounting office doesn't become an absolute burden and we don't end up with findings in our audits. So I think your staffing currently of the treasurer collector's office is adequate, cannot handle any further cuts. They're doing a good job. The auditors love us, and that's that office, my office, everything that we all do as a town, working all together. It's reflected in the audit reports every year. And I think to change anything there jeopardizes our good standing, which will impact us down the line with any borrowings. And it's just all one big web tied together. So I feel that the need for that backroom time, that quiet time, there are complex issues dealing with, taxes and liens and such that you can't spend, 30 minutes on an issue, have someone walk in, interrupt that whole flow, and then you take care of that person for 3 to 5 minutes, and you've got to go back and rework another 15 minutes to get where you were before you had that interruption. It's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah,
So I don't think that asking for quiet, no public time is an unreasonable request.
Okay.
Can I ask a question for the town accountant office? What's your hours?
My posted hours that we guarantee that someone will be there are 9 to 3:30.
Monday through Friday?
Yeah, but I don't deal with the public.
So you don't have people coming in, but you have
I-
someone there available from 9 to 3:30?
Yep, and we are there. I work 40 hours plus. My assistant works 35 hours. So 9 to 3:30 every day is not, the total hours that we're being paid for that we're working. We guarantee we will be there during that time. But understand, my foot traffic, our department heads, employees, that's my foot traffic. We're an internal service person. We don't deal with the public on anything.
So you don't need closed door time for, say, your office?
I don't need open door public time for my office. I need, we're there, we deal with it. Whatever walks in, and whether the office hours state 9 to 3:30, we're there. Whoever walks in, we attend to their needs, regardless of the hour of the day or evening.
So isn't it true that assistant collectors, they are the one taking care of the front desk, right?
But
So
the assistant treasurer will as well get up and handle whoever's at the counter.
Yeah,
That office, and, during busy seasons of taking in store payments, motor vehicle excise, real estate taxes, they take care of it all. When a taxpayer client comes in through that door, they are waited on immediately. It's not, oh, that's not in my job description, so I'm not gonna get up and go take care of that person. The collector gets up first, the assistant treasurer gets up, and if there's 3 people coming in, the treasurer collector will come out of her back office and help as well, so that the taxpayers of this town are serviced as efficiently and properly as possible.
Yeah, I don't have any problem. I think everybody does a great job. And I'm not looking to cut any hours, as I said from the beginning. I'm saying in the future, if we find, as people change and jobs change, if we find that there's work that can be cut. I know we cut those 5 hours, but I was told that was, the last town administrator did that, and they said that wouldn't be an issue at all. Everybody
Right, I
agreed.
just don't know how much more you can cut.
Yeah, right now, nothing. I'm
You know,
just, so
it's-
the only thing I'd say is that
It doesn't
the
get
small
easier, it
change,
just
the
gets
small
harder.
change I made, and that's fine, we can move forward.
Can I talk about it?
go ahead, Mark.
Would the ideal office be, open hours that are 32 hours total in a week? So that whenever the public's coming in, there are 3 people to attend to them? Would that be, I'm.
I wouldn't want to
starting
cut
on-
down another 4 hours. You're saying
No,
don't
I'm not
have
saying to
overtime.
do it, I'm saying the ideal workload for people, like, then the person in the back office actually could just keep going unless there was really something going on. But if you start taking the 32 hours and bumping it up to 36, now you already have a time in the office when staffing is not 3 people available, it's down to 2 people available for 4 hours a week. And then And then if something goes on, like, for whatever reason, you have to reduce that down to one person in the office. I would consider keeping as much open to the public time, fully staffed, so that, like what you're talking about, if somebody's deep in something that they're working on and they've been working on it for half an hour, but there's always public times, fully staffed with 3 people in the office on a non-vacation week, somebody walks in, there's always gonna be somebody who could attend to the person and somebody who could stay on topic with whatever they're doing. But if you start stringing them out, so you have a 32-hour person here and a 32-person over here, so there's already 2 hours and 2 hours of 2-person coverage, or however it goes, 4 people, 4 hours total during the week of 2-person coverage. I mean, it's starting to thin it out. When people come in and you have 2 people in, somebody is gonna have to stop doing what they're doing. I mean, it's just the way it's gonna be.
Oh, they've always been 36 hours.
But they only work 30, no, they want 32.
32, but they switch, they,
That's what I
she
mean.
says they do.
So there's
do other
32
things.
hours,
Right.
but there's open hours of 36, so that nobody can, there can't be 3 people there for 36 hours.
That's fine, it's always worked. I mean, it seemed to always work. That's not the issue, I don't believe.
I'm just bringing up the concept of fully staffed 3 people there all the time when the public hours are open. Would be ideal.
The thing is, what are the chances of 3 different publics comes in at the same time,
Oh, I'm talking about one person coming in and people
During
working.
real estate, you get to that deadline for the taxes, and, that office is extremely busy, and the 3 of them are at that counter.
But they plan for that, they have their own method of flex time, planning for that. They know seasonal, when there are seasonal demands and things like that. That's,
If someone's on vacation, we're not gonna cut the hours because one person's
No, I'm
out.
talking about an
So I think-
ideal event with no vacation, nobody said.
Do the fractional time employees take comp time for 3 weeks leading up to the week and a half before taxes are due, and then they're working 40 hours those weeks type thing, or? No. Okay.
No, I think the schedule that Sherry has now and what she's presenting, as a department head, you asked her to give the hours that work for her department, and this is what she's presented, so I'm assuming this covers
See,
it.
I'm not talking about open hours, I'm talking about, for staffing purposes, do they beef up the part-time people so that they're working comp time, and then, I'm just asking.
I come here for a few weeks every 7 years, so I
I don't believe,
can't get into that level of
I
detail.
think they,
I don't think they do, but.
I don't
They don't-
believe so.
I
I mean,
mean, that's
yeah, I don't think
something that
they do.
I'm not
Okay.
in a position to speak to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, that would be my only. I mean, when they were working 9 to 7, it was so dead at night. They even had more backroom time,
Backroom.
because no one ever came in.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think changing these hours is gonna bring busloads of people in. It's just gonna give them some more, different times, so.
agree with you.
I do
I was just
think,
thinking that the 3 people together, I'm wondering if the 3 people together in the office at the same time makes them sort of a more effective office, rather than stringing them out so there's 4 hours broken up.
No, I think she says that everybody can do each other's jobs, so if one's not there, one goes to lunch, they can help out, so I think that's.
Just trying to consider that.
Okay, is there any comments from the public? I don't think so. David Pinion is there.
Somebody with a hand
David
No,
raised.
that's the mouse. That's
Oh.
just the mouse.
That was just, it looked like Ellen. Ellen was on there before and looked like she had her hand raised, but she's not there anymore.
Oh, that's some,
It's not
I think
on
David's
it's not
sleeping.
on us.
He's in bed.
David is there, yeah, David Pinion. Okay,
Proposing the 30.
yeah,
So only thing I'm asking that we, I'd make a motion that we do,
no, we need to close the
Close the
public
public
hearing.
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
So we have a motion to close the public hearing and second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none,
Closing the hearing.
Aye.
closing the public hearing, yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to close the public hearing. Public hearing closed, I'm sorry. Okay,
So
now
I'll
you can make the motion.
to, treasurer collector Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 8:30 to 3:30, Wednesday, 8:30 to 5, the town clerk, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4.
You have a motion? Is there a second? You made the motion.
Chris made the motion.
Chris made the
Chris
motion.
made the
I
motion.
second.
Oh,
Oh, you were shaking your head, so I was waiting. All right, I second, sorry.
motion and second.
Oh, are you
Okay.
the designated second or
I
something?
don't know, I looked over and he stared.
Is
I was
that how
like,
this
"Wait."
works? Oh, okay.
I wanted to do something.
You didn't want to do the motion, okay.
Okay, we have motion and second. Is there any other discussion?
I'm gonna vote no for this only because I would prefer to leave it the way the treasurer collector's office is asking us to do it. They do a great job. I don't think we need the extra half hour. But
I'm doing it only for clarity.
I understand completely. I don't think they're gonna have too much heartache over it either for a half hour, I would assume.
We'll make it work.
Okay. Huh?
One motion and a second.
Yeah, motion and second is on the table, so we can have discussion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Oppose?
No.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thanks to the board for the discussion. It's thoughtful.
Then next,
Why do I have like 6 copies of that?
I think you have my copies of it. You have all of my copies.
You were supposed to take one and pass it down, Pat, but you kept them all.
No, oh, there we are.
okay, next item
I
is
don't
new
want mine,
business.
now just keep them.
New business.
Mr. Chairman, I think we discussed at a prior meeting the upcoming expiration of the Weston and Sampson services agreement for operation and maintenance of the town's sewer system. I think we gave you a heads up that we were going out to bid on a renewal basis. We're well into that process. We expect that I think by Wednesday, the 24th or so, that we'll have bid proposals. On Monday, we had a pre-bid conference and tour of all the sewage facilities in the town. Interestingly, our town administrator candidate accompanied us on that tour. We thought it was the best way, for her to familiarize herself with those things. So she took the day off from work. But we need, the contract expires, September 3rd? We need one more billing period. We need to extend the current contract for 1 month's time. We do have the assent of Weston and Sampson to do this 1 month extension. And, we look forward to receiving their bid proposal, I think in about 10 days or so.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion?
He's not following the rules.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No, we have to.
Okay. The board has those handouts?
Yes.
Packages?
How many people came to the bid piece?
Just Weston and Sampson. And in fact, the instructions to bidders said, call ahead if you can't make it or if you're going to make it, et cetera. Weston and Sampson actually designed the system and has been doing the O&M since 1995. 2 cycles ago, you did have a competing bid that was higher, I think about $12,000 or $13,000 higher than Weston and Sampson's. So
I was wondering if we were gonna see another bid just to see what the perspective is.
well, certainly the invitation process
Right.
gives others a chance to to take a peek in, but no one has really followed up with any kind of contacts or additional questions and things like that. But the invitations are out there, all according to the Chapter 30B, Section 6. It's all a
That's okay.
yeah.
Every year is next is town accountant.
Okay. Do you have her handout materials?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
Pat, how many copies do you have?
Now I know, I'm just gonna go through this file next time.
I feel like I'm pretty good at this. I normally read everything before, so
Yeah.
one time you fail. I think you're so far. Super. First of all, I'd like to thank you very much for making time for me this evening to discuss the opera appropriations with you. Just as a quick reminder that the federal guideline for the eligible opera spending requires that the funds be fully committed by December 31st of 2024 and be fully expended by 12/31/26. So our initial understanding of the opera grant deadlines was erroneous in that we interpreted the required commitment of the funds to equate to an appropriation by the Select Board to specific projects. We figured when we had you folks take your votes, even though, you know, we were covered saying we would like to pay OPEB for FY '23, '24, '25, and '26, for example. We initially thought that's what they meant by the word commitment. So as you know, the opera grant guidelines have changed and evolved and changed again and evolved, so that finally in subsequent training sessions that I attended, I determined that this interpretation was incorrect. That just having you make the appropriation was not going to satisfy the commitment requirement of the federal guidelines for the 12/31/24 deadline. So I reached out to Powers & Sullivan, our audit firm, and I asked them for guidance on how do we stay in compliance with these deadlines so we don't jeopardize any of the ARPA funding. The last thing I wanted to find out at 12/31/26 was that we had not properly committed and spent $500,000 and therefore they'll take it back. There will be no redo chance on these things. So, thank you for that offer, Christina. I appreciate that. Okay, I have full faith. Yes. So what I'm asking you tonight is that we rescind the vote that you took on April 6th of 2022 on the OPEB spending, the MS4 permit spending, and the Board of Health Worcester Alliance appropriations. So that's where all of my color coding comes into play on the spreadsheet handout that I gave you. So you'll notice that the appropriation that you made on April 6th is in gold, and I'm asking that they be reappropriated by you this evening to the functions over highlighted in the green on the right side column. Same dollar amount, same purpose, just restated a bit. The auditors recommended that we reappropriate the ARPA monies that have already been budgeted to qualifying expenses so that the funds that are not then spent through the budget line items will flow through to free cash. For the sewer, it will flow through to their retained earnings. And for the Board of Health revolving fund, it will increase and remain in their fund balance. So therefore, we're spending the ARPA grant monies on eligible expenses for the revenue replacement we've opted for within the timeline that the feds require it by 12/31/24. And ultimately, the same purpose that we came to you before was that your free cash will be able to increase by these amounts so we could get some longevity out of the use of these ARPA monies for these purposes. It ends in the same result. It's just the legal way for us to be able to do it. Powers & Sullivan, you'll notice on the back of this sheet there's more color coding, and it is a motion for you to make this evening to rescind the previous vote and to reappropriate the funds accordingly so that we meet the ARPA federal guidelines more appropriately. Powers & Sullivan did approve the vote. They reviewed it all and said, yes, this is what you need to do to stay in compliance. So there are also on the bottom of this spreadsheet 2 additional appropriation items that we're asking you to consider tonight. The reappropriation is no new money. It's just a different form. The substance is the same.
under the additional appropriation items that we're asking you to consider this evening, one of them is highlighted in brownish tone for the DPW's Toro Groundmaster mower. There has been a price increase, what a surprise, from the original quote that we asked you to approve back in April. Kevin Duffy has found out that in order to acquire this very mower, it's going to require an additional $2,429 to be able to acquire the mower that you agreed to in April. The second item that we're asking you to consider tonight as a new appropriation is for $30,000 to engage an engineering firm to perform the required specification development so that we can be considered for a grant from Eversource for the library boiler system. We can't even be considered without these specifications being developed. And Jim has a better handle on the details on that than I do.
Only that we had a previous earmark request, a sudden request at that, for more money than $30,000 on that. That earmark request by Senator Chandler is embedded in the economic development legislation that the state legislature has not acted on by the end of the formal session. I understand that bill is still alive, but they'd have to cover it in informal session. So we don't know that we're going to get any earmarking for that at all. But to parlay ARPA money into additional grant opportunities from Eversource on this project, let's not wait. And I would assure you that for as long as I'm here, and I'm sure Jennifer would say the same thing, if the earmarked money came through, we'd be back here asking you to, to never mind, to rescind the $30,000 vote. But we've got to get some momentum or sustain some momentum on that library HVAC project. So Leslie and I talked about, let's straighten out this stuff first before we start talking about new requests. But, you've got two chip shots here that we are asking. Nevertheless, we're asking you to consider those as well when you vote. We don't want to wait.
My question is, how long this money, the remainder of the money is safe?
The ARPA funds?
Yeah.
Well,
We need to spend it, that's my...
the sense that we have been given in the trainings with the associations and from the audit firms and such are the sooner the better, because there could be a change in heart in terms of leaving
Money on the table.
You got it.
Yeah.
So we really would much rather.
Clawback.
Yeah.
They're talking
Clawbacks, they are talking clawbacks, so.
Can I ask a question? Sorry. So I'm thinking of this, but I'm also thinking ARPA went to the town, and then ARPA also, some funding went to the school. I'm guessing they're both, there could be clawbacks or in a nice way to say, they have a change of heart and move money in a different direction. So what you're saying is spend now.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm telling department heads, if I may, I'm sorry if I talked over you. I'm telling department heads that these votes are not commitments, and get your stuff under contract ASAP. To that end, I had it under my town administrator's report, that recodification stuff, I signed that contract today.
Okay.
The bylaw committee, I think one of you was on that, Raj?
Yes.
I endorsed the general code proposal last night, and I signed the contract this morning. So we are advising people get under contract.
So that's what I was hearing too, from other towns. It's not going to stay there for long.
Yeah.
Right.
So we need to look for other ways to spend it.
I can spend what I told you.
I know it. I think,
Try to hold some of these
well,
changes they'll want to do.
So can we go into the first one?
Yeah, let's do that first.
So can we,
Ask the question again. So we're still doing the 23, 24, 25, and 26 on the OPEB
Apparently not.
and
Yeah.
the future. We're
Yep.
just not putting it in the motion?
Exactly. What your motion will do will be to, what we had voted going to OPEB appropriations for those 4 fiscal years will now be voted to be used for the FY23 health insurance premiums for the retirees for the $400,000. We spend about $50,000 a month on retiree health insurance premiums.
That's our operating budget.
Out of the operating budget. So by not utilizing the operating budget for that $400,000, you now have a $400,000 flow into free cash, which we will then, in 23, 24, 25, and 26, then ask for an appropriation at town meeting from free cash for OPEB for each year.
So I just want to, so the public understands what we're doing here. We're discussing, and Chris asked a question, yes, the intent is to still put it in OPEB. We're not guaranteeing that. We're saying, what we're doing with this vote is creating $400,000 worth of free cash, just using that first line item, and the sewer is going to flow through to the sewer, we have to do this study, so it has to be funded. But if something happens, and we have a different board sitting here in 2 years, and there's a giant recession, there's no guarantees that that $400,000 is making its way to OPEB. As long as everybody, it is our intent to do that. And we have to take this vote because we're going to lose the money if we keep it the way it was. But, we could, is there a reason why we couldn't put $400,000 into OPEB today and say that's our...
We could make the vote. I have asked Jim to include the article in the fall town meeting for the OPEB monies. That as long as we have a sufficient free cash certification from FY22 available to us for the October town meeting coming up this year, there is no reason you couldn't put that $400,000 in on that vote.
But was that for audit bonding purposes? If we do 400 now instead of 100, 100, 100, 100, is that going to be frowned upon? If you don't know off the top of your head.
I can only express an opinion because I can't say what they are thinking or not thinking. But I think it shows a committed intent on the part of the town if you make an annual contribution to your OPEB funds. We've kind of globbed on to the 100,000 number, and when our free cash has looked even better than usual, I've requested that you throw in an extra 50 in May as well, so that we're trying to build up that huge unfunded liability that we have with whatever means we have. We've also have the policy regarding the reserve funds that references OPEB, that when the funds are available in free cash and such and aren't needed for all of the other requirements that we have for it, that we put that into OPEB.
But if we do 400 this year, we're still going to maybe do 100 the other years, because that's under our policy, so.
Right.
Or under our.
I believe it's all of our intent sitting here right now that we're changing this vote, and ultimately it's going to be used for the things up above. But there are no guarantees that that's what's going to happen.
But in reality, if we use it somewhere else, it may not go to OPEB, but it's still the savings.
Exactly.
Yes.
We would have spent it on.
All right, but it's, as long as everybody sitting here knows and the town knows that that's our intent right now. 3 years from now, FY26, none of us may be sitting here, and that new board may say, we don't want to do OPEB, and they're not going to be bound to do it as they would if we were allowed to keep this prior vote. That's that's all. That's my only point on this whole.
So we need a motion first to rescind the 4622 motion.
Can we do that?
So, do a motion for that?
Second.
The motion's prepared for you.
Okay.
That's easy.
Okay.
So that's the lingo we say, select board hereby rescinds? Okay, I make a motion that the select board hereby rescind the 4/6/2022 vote to appropriate ARPA funding for the appropriate projects, OPEB $400,000, financial year 23, 24, 25, 26. Future 4 years MS4 permits, $200,000, financial year 23, 24, 25, 26. Fiscal, sorry. Board of Health Worcester Alliance membership, $100,000, fiscal year 24, 25, 26.
Second.
No, this is in
Half a motion, we need to.
Attached.
Well, that's, you don't make them all at once,
Yeah, and further.
one rescind one, and then come back and make the second motion, and that's.
Oh, so you don't want to rescind
That's
it?
usually what we would do.
You can't rescind it.
What if you want to vote differently on the rescind and then vote differently on the?
I don't think it matters.
Okay. So we have motion, second. Motion and second.
Okay.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, now I'll make the second half motion. The Board of Select Board, I motion that the Select Board hereby vote to appropriate ARPA funding for the following qualifying expenditures: retiree health insurance premiums financial fiscal year '23, $400,000; sewer fiscal year '23 O&M expenses, $200,000; Board of Health actual expenses, 3/3/21 to 12/31/24, $100,000.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The motion for the.
So the next one is, I'll make a motion to appropriate $2,429 from ARPA funds for DPW Toro ground mower due to a price increase, and $30,000 from ARPA funds for the library boiler system spec development for purposes of getting the specs and applying for the Eversource grant.
I second.
We have a
Does
motion
this
and
over,
second.
does this discussion, does this overspend our ARPA funds if we have?
We have more.
It'll come from the 595,
Okay.
012 balance.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, just kudos to Leslie for simplifying a very complicated subject.
Thank you,
Thank you for the color code.
You're very welcome.
Oh, and the motion's written out.
Thank you.
Now we have to work on how we spend the difference instead of.
Yeah, Ms. Bedonia has another question.
Well, I was just gonna ask for the, I love that we're doing the spec development for that grant, because I think it's needed, and we usually go to the front work. Do we already have something picked out and available to kind of start that, or is that, we're gonna put it out to like bid and hope someone comes out?
Rise Engineering
Right.
has been involved in the project, and they did tell me that the town kicked, a short answer, I'll have to ask Rise where we look, okay? I don't know.
That's, I was just
Okay.
thinking, like, we came up with that amount, but I'm like, is that gonna get us the actual plan, or in 5 weeks, we're gonna?
That's what the guy from Rise told me. The guy from Rise told me between $20,000 and $30,000
Okay, all right,
is what he told me. Who it is, can't say.
okay.
The hope is that between, the one item that seems to be really favored with the spending of the ARPA money are on capital items. It's almost like not a problem at all. There's going to be no questions on capital items. So as Jim and I have discussed, that we're trying to coordinate with the CIB, the new town administrator coming in, so that everybody, meets and says, okay, this might be a good thing for us to do with the remaining ARPA funds that we have. And hopefully, we get the engineering specs and we find out from Eversource whether or not they're going to fund this boiler system for the library, or whether we need ARPA funds to make that happen as well. So we definitely have an intent to spend sooner rather than later, but thoughtfully and in the best resource for the town.
Yeah, I think so too. If you don't spend it, it might maybe not.
Use it or lose it, as they say. So, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Leslie.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
Okay.
The next item is vote to sign September 6, 2022 state primary warrant as requested by Damien Bartek, town clerk.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item is consider approving the hiring of Paul Cowley as a fractional time municipal custodian for the senior center effective August 22, 2022 at a rate of $15.41 and up to 10 hours per week.
Second. Oh, now we
We have motion and second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
I was gonna ask you a question about what's going on right now before this guy gets hired.
I don't know having one.
No, somebody left, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they have someone that's covering until,
Great, but somebody left.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay. So, discussion.
Hearing none, no further discussions. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Vote to open warrant article submission for semi-annual town meetings to be held on October 17, 2022.
So,
We have motion and second. Any other discussion?
I have a question. Procedurally, is this just how you start this? Okay.
Yes. As we discussed at a prior meeting, I also sent the directives out, actually this week, to the department heads. Submission deadline, I think, is September 2nd for any additional budget money requests or article requests. It's your regularly scheduled September meeting when you go off your summer schedule. I'll have a list, just a gross list of what those articles are going to be. You'll meet with jointly with the FinCom on the 21st to look over the draft warrant. And the warrant itself will be posted by the 30th of September. That's the schedule. But meetings with the FinCom chair, we've had at least one already, and we're arranging for Chief Sadowski to have one before the submission deadline. He's brand new. I'm an interim. I don't have history in capital items. In Jen, when she comes in, won't have that history either. So as part of his onboarding, we got that. But the process is tried and true, and I'm just following West Boylston custom here. So.
We have the motion and the second. No further, is there any other discussion? No further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. So now, next item is old business. Discussion on regional facilities manager. This is Chris.
I think Jim can do it.
Jim?
Yeah, Mr. Ruccio and I spoke before the meeting. We did meet with, as you authorized Mr. Ruccio and I to do, meet with representatives from the town of Leicester. We met with their town administrator and a member of their Board of Selectmen here in West Boylston to discuss the possibility of sharing a facilities director. And it was an honest discussion, but so many things. Leicester just acquired the Becker College Leicester campus. Their needs are so much bigger than, it necessitates something more than a shared a facilities director with us. Geography and startup costs were also an issue to consider in the like. So I'll sum this up by a couple of emails that Dave Genero, the Leicester Town Administrator, and I shared. I wrote to him on August 3rd. Dave, it was good seeing you last week. Shortly after our meeting, West Boylston Selectman Chris Ruccio and I spoke by phone and agreed that the details of this job-sharing exploration were more complex and costly than we had imagined. I kind of think we're done. Do you feel the same? And he said, we agree that the mechanics of sharing a single individual would be difficult, and especially in light of our acquisition of Becker. Our need likely necessitates a full-time member. Thanks for the discussion note. So it doesn't mean the idea of a shared facilities director is dead. It just means it can't work with Leicester. Can't work with Leicester.
It's been a couple of years right now. We did approve this job for a couple of years.
Yeah. I can tell you could sure use some help, especially with Chief Welsh out of the picture. Somebody had the slightest little problem, he was always the guy going outside of his, outside of his lane to do stuff, so we gotta do something.
I mean, I think we did try to investigate the regional, finding someone that we could use close by. We haven't had much success with that. I
Is that
think
right?
we should maybe, as a board, look at the job description that we have for this facilities director. Take a look at that, maybe draft that, and then repost that, and actually get someone, even if it's 30 hours a week, to work here, to oversee some of this. There's plenty of work, I think.
I think we have one posted.
There's plenty of work. You've got, I got your budget.
Approved for only a part-time.
Yeah, you've got, is it 32,000?
It's posted already.
Yeah, you do have a job description already.
Yeah, it's been posted for months on the website.
And you have a fiscal '23 appropriation of $32,000 for that.
And just have
For
you
that
not had
purpose.
anyone apply for it, I'm guessing?
Correct.
Okay.
I think there was a start before I got here that was aborted for some reason, and then,
I didn't think it was still active on our website for
It
some
is.
reason. It is?
Mhm. Yeah, I can see it.
is it?
It's the third one up from the bottom.
The facility, click here for job description. It's here, it's been there, this is a tough, with construction the way it is, I mean, I've reached out to some people that are in the business, and it's just, these people there's so much work out there, they're not looking for, maybe we can get a retired guy, I wish there was a company that would just do it, and we pay them a
Yeah,
fee,
sure.
but I can't find that company.
Yeah.
I mean, because again, there's so much work out there. So, we're trying, but,
Oh, I wonder, and what's the pay that we're offering on this? Because I'm just seeing facility managers are making between $69,000 and $100,000 at places in towns. So I'm wondering, are we just not even,
No, the only fund allocated during the town meeting is like 32,000. Yeah, yeah.
It's-
Oh, that's a
That's
part-time.
he could do this
15
in
hours a
3
week.
towns.
Yeah.
He could
It's
do
only
this
a
in 3
part-time.
towns if he chooses to, and yeah.
The thing is, we have only a very few buildings.
Yeah, we can't give somebody, there's not, a town's our size, having facility managers full-time that just handle town buildings, I believe is very unusual.
Yeah, and also, town hall is.
Yeah, a town your size. I worked in East Bridgewater last year. It's only the second time I've seen a shared facilities director between the school department and general government really work. The person in East Bridgewater reports to the DPW director, but is intimately involved with all things general government buildings and all things school facilities. In North Andover, it worked out pretty well. Generally, shared relationships between schools and general governments don't work so well, largely because their demands come at exactly the same moment. Their peak demands.
This is not the school in that.
Yeah, I know it isn't.
I wonder, is there someone within our realm of the custodians that we do have on either side that would be, because I think they're all part-time, is one of them maybe?
We've talked to the school about sharing this together, and they were not interested. I'm sure we can do it again, but
When did we have that conversation
we've
with
had
them?
it years ago. He started looking for facility managers.
I was gonna say, like, was it willing, since all the leadership kind of has changed, besides, I think,
But I don't think the issue is, I don't know if they have a person that's called a facility manager.
well, no, I'm saying if they have a part-time person looking for maybe to even take on this role, like offer within there some of the janitors that working part-time, maybe they're looking to
I
work
don't think
extra 15 hours.
the requirements for this job is a janitor.
Not
And I don't think they
but-
have a facility manager. I think the business manager kind of runs the facilities. He does the management side, I believe.
I think we did explore, but
Yeah, a few times.
they have no interest.
Town administrators talk to them many times, every time this comes up. Maybe not in front of the board, but
I'm not saying you can school, I'm saying internally, do we have anyone internally looking for,
I don't think.
to expand?
we don't have,
Done.
again, this job description is much bigger than a maintenance or a janitor. I mean, it's, I reached out to a gentleman that I know that's retiring from facility management and saying, you're looking for something after you retire? He says, I'm not looking to work right away after I retire, but maybe, I'm trying, but it's tough. There's so much work I'm doing right now.
I would say, because all I see on here is, I mean, it's a paragraph. So there's certain things on our website, it's a paragraph of what are the requirements that you're thinking this person would do?
I've got the job description.
Do we have a full job?
I've got a job description.
I have this online.
Job description.
This is all that's online.
There is a full job
You
description.
click the link next to it, there's 3 pages. Right next to it, there's 3 pages.
It says click here for job description.
Yeah, click here for job description, and it's like 3 or 4 pages. Yeah, this is the job description. Yeah, 3 pages. It's there.
This has been going on for years.
2-3 years.
And this looked promising, obviously it didn't pan out. I mean, we really need to make a concerted effort. You know, the new town administrator really is gonna be, I think, that's gonna be a charge of hers
And maybe we'll make it one of the goals.
well, yeah,
Well,
start.
it's been our goals in the past. It's been one of our goals in the
I
past.
mean, what have we done? It's on our website. Have we done advertising? Are we, you know? and-
No, we created the position, that's our goal. We
No, but I'm
created the
just saying,
position,
right
we
now, I
got the
don't
money.
think, you know, that this is sitting on our website as an open position. Have
With a
we-
minimum, so a minimum requirement for qualification is a bachelor's degree in engineering or business administration or construction management. $32,000 a year, that's your minimum requirement.
Part-time. They could do this in 3 or 4 towns, and they could make
But
$150,000.
we just went through that. We know that the towns around us aren't hiring.
I'm not saying shared. If somebody wanted to do this job, they could come to West Boylston and do 15. Go to Boylston, for instance, go to Sterling and do it.
They're not hiring part-time in those towns. That's why we can't do a shared one in many of those towns. So
Or it could be a retired person.
that's what I.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Right, yeah.
There was, you
So do
know,
we think we're not getting people that are applying because of the way our job description is written?
Oh,
I don't know. I mean, it's been out here since 2018. We've had one person, you said? I think we've had one person apply that I know of.
thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this is a great discussion, but it's really not the agenda item. Maybe we put it on the agenda in the future and we discuss. All this was to update us on what was going on with
On our,
regional. Yeah, not
on our
changing the
failed
job
meeting.
description, yeah. So I mean, I think this is all something we can look at. Maybe we put it on a future agenda item and we look at, we'd like the town administrator.
I would say, that's what Raj is saying as chair, or if you're acting through Raj as chair, right? I agree with that. This was just a discussion item.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's in front of us, or we should let the town administrator
let
present something to us.
Yeah, because this
So then
discussion item, it says discussion on regional facilities manager.
this is a follow-up discussion,
Right.
you know, during the last meeting, they were.
I personally, I don't care, we can talk about it all night.
I don't mind. I was just saying if there was something we had.
Okay, thank you, and let's put it for the next, future agenda items.
okay,
The
whatever.
next one is update on opioid settlement funds.
I do not have an update, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, moving along.
Yeah.
Consider approving the disposal of surplus properties. So we have 2022 surplus bid list from DPW, Fire Department, Senior Center, and municipal buildings. So we do need a vote on this to be put it under surplus. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Is there any further discussion?
What is the process for, so the public knows, how they make bids on this stuff, when the bids due?
Yeah, we're gonna advertise this year on Municipid,
Okay.
which is an online website. We'll advertise that on our website, on our Facebook, everywhere we can. I'm sure it's gonna be in the newspaper because we've got the wonderful people from the item here. The dates, I think we haven't set those dates, but. Mhm.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Yeah, motion is second.
Motion and second. Motion and second, we are in the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Town administrators report.
We've covered some of the items that I had under other parts of the agenda, Mr. Chairman, so I'll just report on one thing and maybe see if I can draft Mr. Crowley into some additional comments. The ADA transition plan draft, my understanding, has been presented to the Disability Commission. The commission chair came to my office the next day to say that the commission took the matter under advisement, but has marked it up for probable approval on or about September 20th. How'd I do?
So this is one of mine.
Oh, perfect.
Reports.
Okay.
Everything Jim said is correct. We being the Disability Commission, it's 110-ish pages, I think. A lot of pictures of stuff too. It's not just all reading. All of us are going to go through it. Anything that we have issues with, I mean, we did a high level, this is what this section is, this is what this section is. We did not delve into what it says in it, and I personally have not done that yet. We have a deadline of like the 10th-ish of September to get our comments back to Mike from the Collins Center. Mike, is that his name? From the Collins Center. Yeah. Hey, I have issues with this or this, whatever they are. He's going to incorporate that into a final draft for us to vote on at our next meeting in late September. And at which time, that's us saying, yes, let's move it forward. Then it's going to come to, I believe, the next step is it comes to this board for our approval of it.
Thank you.
Are you individually all sending your comments to Mike, or is it being collected in one?
Individually sending our comments to Mike.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, moving along, resignations. Acknowledge the resignation of Kathleen Casey from the Council on Aging effective June 29, 2022. Acknowledge the resignation of David Lawson as the Veterans Service Officer effective August 31st, 2022. Acknowledge the resignation of Michael McConville from Disability Commission effective August 15, 2022. Do we do the appointments now? We do have few appointments before the executive committee.
Sure.
Only one of them.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's after.
You want to do the celebrations?
Okay, so we'll do that after that.
Okay.
So in regards to the veteran service officer, we have somebody that's,
Job was posted.
We've advertised. Dave has been talking to his colleagues out there to see if there's anyone to help, and we have advertised a position as well, Mr. Chairman.
How long has she been the guy?
Maybe 3 years now? 2 years, 3 years?
Dave has been here that long?
I think it's at least 2 years, but Doug was here with him for some point in time, right?
It's 2 or 3 years.
Doug worked for free for a long while, didn't he?
I tried to recruit him back recently,
Oh,
but
I think he's moving down south. Doug is, I think.
I don't think so.
No?
No, he just says he doesn't know how to do this new, it's transitioned now to a computerized system, and
He just told you that, so you I'll be sorry. All right.
Thank you. Future agenda items and the select board reports.
I'm sorry, do you have one?
No, you go first.
Obviously, we already discussed the disabilities. At the Parks Facilities Committee, we're waiting on an engineering estimate for the drain that we want to use, this is at the Mixler property, the drain that we want to use for our runoff in the street, the DPW has no as-built on it, so it needs to be, we need to know what's there. When we get that engineering estimate, I may be coming back to ask for that to be covered under ARPA funds. I don't know that yet. That's going to be up to the board, the Parks Facilities Board. We are also waiting on updated numbers for the configuration of the field. There were 3 distinct layouts. The board voted on the layout number 2, and prices came in substantially higher than when money was approved 2 years ago. Obviously, things have changed dramatically with COVID. Once we do get those updated numbers from Warner Larson, which should be soon, There's going to be another ask of the CPC for a supplemental grant so that we can do it right and not do a pared-down project, because we as a committee decided we don't want to do it, we don't want an 80% project. We'd rather not, not cut things and say, and people go, if we're going to do it, we want to do it right. So that's, I don't know what the numbers are yet, but that is probably going to be within the next month that's going to be for CPC.
The question is, it has to go to the town meeting, right?
Yes.
And the rebids are the same proposed projects?
Right, so we, I mean, everything, we have numbers.
It's just current?
We have numbers from February. So we said, hey, the numbers from February were higher. We've said, hey, go back to, hey, Pat English, the chair, is going back to Warner Larson and saying, give us the numbers. Normally we would say, oh, February, that's fine. Not in today's world. Go back to Warner Larson, let's get numbers as of right now, so that assuming it gets approved by the CEC, it gets approved by town meeting, we can immediately go out to bid, not immediately, but we'll be going out to bid with numbers that are 4 months old. So we wouldn't expect, things that level off in the construction world from what I'm being told, so we wouldn't expect it to be too much of a variance from those units.
Did we get the fundings from the state?
Yes, there was $150,000 approved, included in the budget bill that was just passed, and that the initial ask on that was either $250 or $300, and it got pared down to $150, and that is approved, signed, sealed, it's available, but it still doesn't get us to where we need to be.
Thank you. The CPC vote was X amount of money.
Right.
Unless you get other funding, we would give less. Correct? So wasn't it 200,000 or something?
No, that was a different, so the CPC vote was $650.
But if they get extra money from somewhere else.
That was the Pride Park.
Yeah,
That's how the Pride Park.
That wasn't the one on this one too?
No, that Pride Park one was, if that extra money, it comes off of the CPC. I think we got money for that too, I don't recall.
I thought we got another 150 for the Pride Park. I could be wrong.
That I don't recall.
Another what, earmark?
Yeah, I thought we got money for the, no, it won't go through.
Thank you. Do you have any other?
Yeah, so just one for updates. The Economic Committee was able to reinstall another sign over in the Pinecroft area, and we sent out bills to the current folks based on the updated policy, and we have, I think, only 2 people outstanding as of right now that haven't paid for a full year, and we should have a new online form available for the new sign back in front that will go out shortly. I think that's all. And we're working on a business meeting in the next several months.
Thank you. Mark, executive session, motion?
Make a motion, I move to enter into executive session under the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Purpose 3, to discuss strategy with respect to contract negotiations with the town administrator candidate, and the chair declares that an open meeting discussion may have detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the body. Public law.
Roll call. Mark?
Yes. Second?
Second, we have
Aye.
We'll be coming back to the open session. Sure.
So before we get on to the appointments, we acknowledge the resignations of Kathleen Casey, David Wazan, and Mike McConnell. Give us a thank you. So thank you for your service to the town. Obviously, we have 3 openings. If anybody's interested, contact the town administrator's office if they are interested in filling any of those roles.
Thank you, Pat. So we have few appointments. The first one is appointment of the town administrator Jennifer Warren, Diamond, town administrator. So I'd like to have the motion.
I motion to appoint.
I'll second.
Jennifer?
We have a motion.
You had your chance and you blew it.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The second one is approval of the town administrator's contract. Can I have a motion?
So moved. Approve the contract?
I second.
We have a motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Concur the appointment of Brian Livon G. to the Celebration Committee effective August 22nd, 2022, for a term to expire April 30th, 2025. Just a concurrence.
How long
We need a motion, huh? 2025.
3 years. 3.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
We have a motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn?
Mo-
Second.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.